Hello guys, hi, hope everyone's keeping really well. I'm back for another video as promised last week. Just thought I'd have a bit of a catch up on some finds that I've had over some of the last few weeks, and yeah, just bring you up to date with that basically. But first I just wanted to give a big shout out and thank you to Pete from Sounds from the West Coast. Yeah, up there in Cumbria. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of Pete. Great YouTuber, does a lot of really cool videos. Loves his prog, alternative music, krautrock, etc., and has done a series of really good videos over the years, just sort of highlighting a lot of key acts and players of those genres, and talks very knowledgeably about them because he's obviously a long time collector of that music, and his passion clearly comes out. So yeah, I mean, me and him have sort of shared sort of VCLT, I guess, over the years, little bits and pieces here and there. And yeah, he very kindly sent me some the other day, which I picked up. And yeah, these are some DVD recordings that he made, I assume, back in the kind of early noughties, when streaming and so on was obviously the way to go, before a lot of sort of classic, sort of obscure music was being re-released on vinyl. So this was kind of one of the only ways that you could kind of get hold of it. My brother used to send me a lot of these recordings that he downloaded online. He was really into doing this kind of thing at the time. But some, yeah, really interesting stuff that he sent me. There's a classic prog psych and folk sampler, which is a really good rundown of a lot of Brazilian progressive music from the early 70s. Really enjoyed that. Going to be honest, because of the limitations, obviously my CD player couldn't play them, so I had to take them down to my dad's old DVD player. Unfortunately, these could play the audio on these, or some of the files, not all of them. But what I did hear, I really enjoyed. And then a folk one here, folk compilation that he did, which again, not all of it I could download. Some of it I was quite familiar with anyway. There was like artists like the Incredible String Band on there, Fuchsia, which I have, Jackie McCauley, Welcome to the Citadel. Quite a lot of kind of classic psych folk stuff, just exactly in my wheelhouse. So yeah, Pete knows exactly the kind of thing that I like. What I did really like that I'd never heard was Eta Orchestra, music from the Holy Ground. That was absolutely fantastic. That's a kind of lost 1970 psych kind of folk album from 1970, where I think there was only it was released on an independent label, and there was only about 90 copies or something like that released. So yeah, was delighted to listen to that, and wonderful listen it was as well. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Prog Psych and Folk sampler, some Albion Band live, which was really interesting. Did quite a lot of sort of traditional stuff. Great to hear kind of Ashley Hutchings and co sort of talking about the history of some of the songs, the folk songs, and so on. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. Again, unfortunately, couldn't access all the files on that one. And unfortunately, this one, which was the one I was really looking forward to, was 1967. And this is a Brazilian kind of X Factor show for sort of unknown artists in Brazil at the time, from 1967. So yeah, this had people like Roberto Carlos, Caetano Veloso, Gilberto Gil, a lot of the Tropicalia artists. And I was absolutely dying to watch this. And it just wouldn't play at all. It just kept coming up unknown. So yeah, absolutely gutted. But yeah, we'll hopefully be able to find that on YouTube and give it a play. But in any case, Pete, thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated. So yeah, really appreciate you taking the time to send these through to me. Really appreciated. And yeah, like I say, just a pity I couldn't play the Brazilian film, but hopefully I'll find that on YouTube. So okay, so moving along to the finds. Not too many here. I think there's only about 6. So a couple from the last fair that I went to, record fair in Stratford, back on the bank holiday at the end of August. One from Ben's, and an online find. Well, a couple of online finds. Okay, so the first one needs no introduction. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, by Black Sabbath, of course. Their 5th album from 1973. This is a reissue. Basically, because I just got kind of sick of trying to find a decent original that was A, affordable, and B, doesn't have like massive ring wear, because it just seems to be one of those albums that seems to suffer with that. And of course, you've just got this wonderful satanic artwork on the front and on the rear, which I kind of wanted in all its glory. The kind of collector in me wanted that. So yeah, I mean, this album's often, some people cite this as an absolute classic. Others kind of think that after the classic run of the first 4 albums, that this is a bit of a departure, sort of into more kind of progressive elements and so on. For me, you know, I actually really enjoyed this album, and I think that it's kind of them stretching out a little bit. As much as I love the first 4 albums, I think this is no less, you know, a sort of, you know, it's not a dip in quality. A lot of people and hardened fans sometimes think that. Obviously, the riff on the title track, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, is fantastic. By all accounts, they had a bit of a writer's block and kind of couldn't, you know, burnt out after touring after the 4th album, couldn't get anywhere, and then Tony Iommi comes out with the riff for Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and yeah, you know, a bit like Jeff Lynne with you know, Out of the Blue, sort of, you know, has a bit of writer's block, goes to Switzerland, suddenly comes out with Mr. Blue Sky when it's a beautiful day, and becomes inspired, and the rest is history. So a little bit like that maybe, but yeah, there's some fantastic songs on here. Fluff, I really love. Beautiful little instrumental from Tony Iommi. Obviously, I know he was a big Django Reinhardt fan, loved his folk music particularly, so would always come out with a really interesting instrumental. That one is no exception. And then, of course, you've got the wonderful sort of last track, Spiral Architect, which is just fantastic with the strings and everything. And yeah, wonderful, wonderful way to end what I think is a really solid album. Yeah, this is I think this is a 2015 reissue. Sounds really, really good. Got no issues with it at all, and it was really cheap, so happy to get that. Okay, a couple from the record fair that I went to in Stratford. Yeah, never owned this on vinyl. Have all their all the albums that came after this, up to sort of Auto American. So Blondie's debut. Yeah, really, really great listen. This I was sort of holding out for a minty copy. I don't think it's a first press. It's probably a second press, but it's in really lovely condition. Yeah, you got obviously the single Ex Offender that kicks off. Shark in Jet's Clothing's great in the flesh. Man Overboard, Kung Fu Girls, the craziness of the Attack of the Giant Ants. But yeah, you can really hear sort of Christine's and their love of sort of girl bands from the 60s, with almost kind of like a doo-wop kind of feel in places as well, with that kind of new wave punky energy. Yeah, really, really, really solid album. And yeah, great stuff. Okay, this one I was delighted to find because I already had a copy of it, but yeah, Dave Evans' original albums often very, very difficult to find in the wild, and picking this up was just an absolute joy, particularly for the fact that I paid very little money for it. So this is his third album from 1974. This is Sad Pig Dance. So Dave Evans, as you don't know, I'm a huge fan of his. He's a progressive kind of folk artist. Built his own guitars, and also was a sort of brewed his own wine and so on. Just one of these people who was just disgustingly talented. Sadly, no longer with us, but left a legacy of 4 absolutely fantastic albums. This is purely instrumental, but it's just sublimely wonderful. Just weird tunings, fantastic instrumentation. The guitar playing is just to die for. You know, his dexterity, etc. I did already have a copy of this, but the copy that I bought online, unfortunately, did not have the original tablature that's supposed to come with it. So this one does. So yeah, I don't think my guitar playing ability would stretch to being able to copy this, but it's nice to have as a collector. So yeah, so some more there, and also original letter from Kicking Mule Records, mail order, that came with it as well, the letter, with also a list of other artists which I shall be checking out. So yeah, delighted to get this, and it's a really, really minty copy, as I said, on Kicking Mule Records. And to pick that up in sort of VG++ condition for £10 was just, yeah, absolute no-brainer. So fantastic. Really delighted to get that. Okay, and then from Ben's on the same day, actually, I checked in because unfortunately he was busy in the shop, so he couldn't come to the record fair. So I popped in to say hello, as I hadn't seen him for a while, and yeah, he had. I asked him if he got anything new in, which is what I often say when I haven't seen him for a while. And he showed me this, which is Donnie and Joe Emerson, and this is their, I believe it's their one and only album they did in 1979 called Dreamin' Wild. And this is kind of sort of referred to as a kind of power pop album, or an example of kind of power pop of the, you know, that genre. So a bit of a kind of lost classic, if you like. I'd never heard of them before, and yeah, if you kind of, I guess if you were the sort of the general thing is that if you were flicking through a crate of records and you kind of saw these guys there and saw that, you'd kind of think, yeah, that's nothing. Maybe it looks a bit cheesy, maybe a little bit cliched, whatever, and you may well pass it up. But if you did, you'd be kind of foolish to do so, because it's actually a really, really good album of kind of very original sounding material. These guys had a kind of quite a wealthy father who kind of bought them a studio setup. Apparently they had very, very little prior sort of influence in terms of listening to music or musical rock influences. So they kind of had all the equipment and just were kind of plugged in and just got on with it. And just their natural ability and their kind of musical kind of the vibe just kicked off themselves, and you know, in a very kind of organic way. And it kind of shows in the recordings, because it's, I suppose, a little bit lo-fi, but that almost adds to the kind of ambience of the music and just gives it a kind of spontaneity and energy that's really, really, really infectious. And yeah, I mean, I heard 2 or 3 tracks and, you know, I was pretty much sold on it. So yeah, very, very happy to pick that one up. Okay, and then my last holiday, or my last holiday, sounds like I have endless holidays. That's definitely not the case. My recent holiday, I should say, to Scotland, and I was staying at a place called Kirkcudbright, which is on the Solway Firth. And there was a sort of antiques come record shop in Kirkcudbright, which I popped into and had a look through their inventory. Didn't have an awful lot, a lot of stuff that was that I could have caught my eye, I'd already got, but this one I didn't, and it was kind of at the right price. So I picked it up, and it's Prog Haram and Grand Hotel. So I think this is their 5th studio album, if I'm not mistaken, from 1973. Gatefold there. The guys all dressed up as toffs. And yeah, according to Keith Reid, it was not really a concept album, because I guess being released in '73, it was at the kind of heyday of sort of concept progressive albums. And he was asked what the concept was, and he said that beyond the title, which the title track, which is Grand Hotel, there wasn't really an awful lot of concept going on here. But what there certainly is for me was a lot of earworms and some really good quality songwriting. And in fact, I've played this several times since I've got it. Really, really enjoyed this one. Particularly the tracks Grand Hotel and first one on side 2, Souvenir of London. Really, really good song. Yeah, just thoroughly enjoyable Prog Haram album, which I have quite a few, but obviously not this one, so happy to add that one to the collection. Okay, and then the last one, this is a brand new release. This came out on the 6th of September. Highly anticipated. I'd heard the singles because they were released on preceding the album to promote it, and I was completely sold and couldn't wait for the album to come out, although I didn't get it on pre-order, even though they always threaten that it's, you know, it's limited edition, don't miss out. They kind of, you know, get you panicking and so on. But I did wait until after I was almost back from a holiday and ordered it so that I would pick it up on the day I came back. And yeah, this is the album, Insulant. Yeah, what a fantastic album. Absolutely wonderful listen. I'm a big The fan. I've always loved soul mining. Matt Johnson, the debut from 1983. I've owned multiple copies of it over the years. Got a box set when that came out for the 30th anniversary. I just think he's a wonderfully maverick kind of artist. He doesn't sound like anybody else. You know, even though he kind of started in the 80s, I don't think that any of his records have particularly dated. Infected, the second album from 1986, has a little bit of that 80s production on it, but the songs are just so strong that you know, they come through. I've heard one or two people comment on this record and suggest that it's almost like a harken back to his 1991 album, or was it 90? No, was it 93 or 94? I can't remember now. I remember it came out when I was traveling in Europe anyway. But it was the album Dusk, with these kind of mid-tempo kind of songs, nothing too abrasive or kind of downbeat. And yeah, this kind of exemplifies this. But yeah, I mean, the first two songs, Cognitive Dissident, and I think the follow-up single, Some Days I Drink My Coffee by the Grave of William Blake. I mean, what a fantastic title, you know, such creativity there. And he just never fails to disappoint. You know, the productions are always second to none, the musicianship, the songwriting. He has a very distinctive vocal that's kind of quite aggressive and abrasive, but still musical, and it kind of draws you in. A lot of gravitas. Yeah, they're just superb. So this is the limited edition on clear vinyl. And they always scare you, don't they? They say, get in, get in, get in, because this isn't going to be hanging around for long. Not that I'm bothered about coloured vinyl, clear vinyl. But probably for me, it was more the fact that I wanted the booklet that came with it. Because I thought, well, you know, if it goes to a second pressing, that might not be available. And it is a particularly nice booklet that comes with it. There's Matt there with the guitar. Always great, kind of slightly unsettling kind of illustrations that you get. Yeah, I'm not going to show you the whole booklet because I'm sure probably quite a lot of you have already purchased it and you're familiar, but if you're not, I would absolutely recommend you get a copy, even if you're not if you weren't previously into the it's just a great album. There's no weak songs. You know, his lyrics are very on point, incisive. You know, and he talks quite a lot of sense as far as I'm concerned. You know, his observations on the politic of the time. Well, there you go. I may as well show the whole lot. I've done it. I said I wasn't, but I haven't. Hey. Ha ha ha! There you go. So that's it, guys. Okay, so thank you for sticking with that. 27 minutes. That was a long one. Okay, so yeah, thank you again to Pete for the CDs. Really appreciated. Go and check out Pete's channel if you haven't already. So that's Sounds from the West Coast. Very knowledgeable, lovely guy. Go and check him out. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you sticking with this if you have. And yeah, I'll hopefully be back again fairly soon for another video. Take care of yourselves. All the best. Bye-bye.